Hey guys, today I want to talk a little bit about problems in the Philippines, big problems in the Philippines. And it's something that I think some guys kind of bring upon themselves. And I've noticed a lot of guys going through a lot of issues lately. Divorce, a lot of other things, breakups, relationship issues. And I noticed that there's not a lot of positivity in some of these relationships. They almost kind of bring it upon themselves. And if you don't have a lot of positivity in your life, I think it just kind of fails. It just kind of brings that on. You know, I notice people that are more positive have a lot going on in their lives. It seems to push them further. It seems to make them more successful in their lives because they're people that just don't give up. I'm not saying I'm the most positive person in the world all the time, because I'm not. You know, and I do try to stay positive about things, or I do try to keep things on a positive route, even when things are going, trending downwards sometimes. It's just one of those things you just kind of try to keep the flow going. And sometimes I get taken down to the bottom too. It happens to all of us. It happens to the best of us. But I notice some of the guys over here, when they get into relationships, they're planning for the failure. Even when the relationship or the marriage is starting off, they're already planning for the failure. And I'm not telling you not to, okay? But I think when we don't have that power of positive thinking like Norman Vincent Peale had, and I used to have the book, by the way, and it was signed by Dale Carnegie and Norman Vincent Peale and a lot of other people that were quite famous people. I had this book and I gave it to my dad because my dad was a big fan of Norman Vincent Peale and Dale Carnegie, and they both signed the book. So it's kind of cool. I used to think the book was written by Dale Carnegie, but it wasn't. But anyway, he was one of the signers of the book. And Norman Vincent Peale was in there. I guess it was a class that was being taught, and a whole bunch of other famous people went to this class and signed the book also. I can't remember who the other names were in the book, but I gave it to my dad a long time ago. But anyway, if we don't have that power of positive thinking in our lives, it produces failure. It definitely gives us more oomph, I'll say, by staying positive and having a positive flow. When we start planning for failure, usually that brings us to failure because we're planning on the failure to happen. It's almost like we're trending that way. And I used to go to a Pentecostal church, and there was an old saying in the church. I don't remember how it went, but it was something about, let your words be your power or something like that. It was about speaking, putting positivity in your words and speaking positive about things, and that would keep your flow going, kind of. And I remember people in the church talking about this. I think even the pastor talked about it a few times. But there was a woman in the church named Marilyn, and Marilyn and I were really, really good friends. And Marilyn and I used to talk about things in church once in a while. And she was one of the people that kind of, taught me about that. And a few other people in the church taught me about that too, about staying positive. It definitely gives you that flow to a better place. When we start planning for bad things all the time, bad things are going to happen because you know what? You planned for them. You kind of produced it. You produced it because you didn't keep that positivity. When we have that positivity in our life, I believe that it brings us to different places. I've seen a lot of guys lately going through this failure mode. Like I said, with divorce, all kinds of things happening. The guys that are getting married or going into relationships are saying, well, I'll do this here in case it fails, or I'll do this here in case this happens or that happens. This way here, at least I have an out and I can do this here. Well, a lot of times in the Philippines, when you start doing that, man, these girls, like putting property in people's names and stuff like that, or other things, money or bank accounts or anything like that, you're just basically giving them an out, an easy out at that. Because in the Philippines, especially if you're not married, the second you put a home in somebody else's name, you're almost setting up the dynamic, and it's putting it in the girl's head, hey, if I leave this guy now, I can walk away with this house. I can walk away with all this money. I don't have to be with this loser anymore. And a lot of times guys think, well, if the girl married me, she must love me. And it's not always true in the Philippines, let's face it. I saw a guy the other day posting pictures, and the guy was at his wedding, and his hair was all messed up. He had gray hair. He wasn't really the best looking guy, and I hate to say that about somebody, but he just was not the best looking guy, and I'm not saying I am either. But you know something? When I saw the guy, he was a mess at his own wedding. And I'm seeing the picture, and he's introducing him and his wife as, the new Mr. and Mrs. or what have you. And I was kind of shocked at the way he was dressed at his own wedding. He looked like a slob. Now, the girl was beautiful, wore a beautiful dress. She was dressed phenomenal. She looked awesome. You know, when you looked at her, she was like, wow, this girl's like a 10. And this guy's like a 2, you know? If you had to put him on a scale, and I'm not saying the guy wasn't a nice guy. He may be, you know, and he probably was. But you want to know something? A lot of girls over here, when they see money, they can sniff money. They can smell money over here more so than people back home. Because poverty produces people here that will do things for anything for money. And a lot of guys say, well, I met a girl, she's from the province, she's all nice. These girls learn. Don't think that they won't learn, or they think that they're going to seclude these people from this stuff. Trust me, they'll learn. You know, but if you need to, number one, start picking up on the red flags, and you also have to have that power of positive thinking a little bit, rather than planning for the bad things that happen in your marriage or in your relationship or whatever. You need to be thinking differently. You need to be thinking like, okay, red flag, this one here might not be for me. I'm not saying you're going to find perfection out there. You're not going to find perfection. But when you see the red flags, definitely say, hey, you know, I just saw the red flag. What should I do now? Should I leave? You know, don't keep on going and then say, well, I'll set up these things just in case something does happen and she breaks off with me. If you set yourself up by putting things all in your girlfriend's name, trust me, bad things are going to happen. Make sure you go to an attorney or something like that and take care of yourself. Watch out for things, and also keep with a positive flow. Don't plan for the worst, plan for the best. And by that I mean also plan for things to happen in case they do happen, but act like, you know, this isn't going to happen, but just in case it ever does, I want to be safe, because that way there you can stay in a safe mode. And some of these girls, man, when they leave you, they'll leave you in a really rotten place. They'll go after you. They'll say all kinds of things and do all kinds of things to you. That's part of the culture here. It's part of some of the things that happen here to some of the guys when they go through breakups, man. They go maniac on you, you know, and it happens to a lot of the guys out there. You have to be very, very careful. I'm lucky that I'm still friends with my ex, you know. It's been like over 2 months now, and we're friendly. You know, we're in a fairly good place. We've stayed friendly. You know, we had our outs in the beginning, but we're okay now. Everything's better. But I mean, a lot of guys, they go through this mess after they break up, and be wary of that could happen to you, that could happen to anybody out there. I see it happening right now to about 3 or 4 of my friends, to women that they never expected it from. Things went really awry in their relationships, and the girl has turned around, and now all of a sudden they're getting all this blowback for some things that they didn't even do, or for some things, whatever it may be. The girl wants to punish them for leaving or for taking off on them, and now they're gonna get them. They're gonna get everything, and they're gonna really try to get you. Either they get an attorney, they go to the police, they do this, they do that, they get all their friends, they damage you or whatever. They're gonna do stuff to you. I've seen too many people go through this. I have 2 guys down in Cebu right now that have called me about this just recently. And a couple around my area are also going through some messes. And a guy up in Angeles also going through a mess. And, you know, be grateful if you're not going through that mess. Remember, positivity, set up protections, and don't be stupid, you know. A lot of guys are stupid with their cash. They think it's never going to happen. Or if it happens, oh, I'll just lose that money. I don't care about that money. Trust me, you'll care about it when it happens. When that happens, you'll care about it, because a lot of guys think that their money is going to last forever, and it doesn't. Anyway, guys, God bless. Take care. I hope you enjoyed today's show. God bless, guys.